Hi, this is Freewave. I'm also the scientist on Rate Your Music. Genre nerd, blogger, chronic lister, music historian. I'm doing a really quick video today. I'm not even sure if it's going to be a public video, but a request to sort of help a person on discussing what Rate Your Music is. Rate Your Music is also sort of known as sonemic, or working its way to become sonemic as a specific name that they're going to be going by. But just to sort of go over what it is, what it exists, and how it operates. So, why does the group exist? I.e., the group being Rate Your Music. What do they do? What are its shared goals? So, Rate Your Music, and I'll just go to the front of us here. It's one of the largest music databases and communities online where you can use in endless ways to discover new music, and it really is one of the best out there. There is one other music site out there called Discogs that is another music database out there, and it's very complete. And Rate Your Music, in certain ways, is trying to catch up. In other ways, it has more sort of new music and more digital music per se. But there's so many more extra features that Rate Your Music has that other sites, that even Discogs is sort of catching up on. First off, you can enter in, it has catalogs of musicians, and you can take a look here and what albums this particular musician came out with. They've got live albums, EPs, singles, and they break it down here. And it's relatively easy for users to enter and missing information. And when stuff is entered, you can put in reviews for particular albums or releases. You can rate them on a 1 to 5 star with half stars on there. And then averages come out of that. And then one of the things that Rate Your Music does is they break down, they do a better job of handling genres and making charts for favorites. And that stuff, some of the stuff is stuff that Discogs doesn't do at all. They don't keep track of the best releases of particular genres, do charts, do feedback and stuff. And one of the things that I do is I do a lot of lists. And the lists I work with, you can break down and make lists based on genres, based on subjects you're interested in, and then go off that. And then these lists will show up generally on the releases of the particular artist or the particular albums. And that's kind of one of the things I really like using it for. But Rate Your Music is very widely open to many different genres. And so you have people who are in the metal, people who are in the rock, people who are in electronic music. The one shorthand side of that is Discogs is a little bit more dance music heavy, so you've got a lot of veterans on the dance music side and a lot less on your Rate Your Music side. And then you sort of run into a thing where if you're missing a whole bunch of releases from particular artists or particular genres, you're less likely to get the people coming to Rate Your Music and being there, and thus you need those people here to actually add those entries into Rate Your Music to encourage people to be there to like that. So that's one of the things that sort of happens with Rate Your Music. But it's sort of shared goals in terms of talking about the music that you like, and then giving reviews, giving ratings, and then really, it's a music nerd's dream, really. So how do group members communicate with each other? And that's one thing that we also do better, I think, than Discogs. We do have a PM system where you can message people. We do have a chat box section where you can give really quick comments to people. Even when you're talking on particular releases, there's chat boxes on genres, so you can actually discuss when you're giving like a vote on a genre or so. And then we have a whole forum section where you can bring up stuff that you want to talk about. And then even outside of it, with Discogs, with Rate Your Music, we have about 3 or 4 servers that are actually just dedicated to Rate Your Music. And I run a server myself for the project that actually talks most about genres and sort of making essential guides for genres. And that's what I do personally, is sort of my passion. What are the purposes of the group's communications? Share information, reinforce values, make money, improve volume. It's just basically talking about music and what we like about it. And, with what I do with collecting, making guides for genres, is taking a look outside of rating your music and seeing what other people define particular genres of, what the essentials are, and then coming back and then highlighting those. So a lot of that is sort of music genre archaeology, and going back and taking a look at the history of a music genre offsite, and then bringing it back and giving a detailed discussion of the list, and going from the time a genre began through moving up in chronological order until you hopefully get to current times, or until that genre sort of runs out of energy. And so what are these communications that be considered genres? Now, when I talk about music genres, the importance of something like that is, if you say grunge, it's a single word, but everyone knows what you mean. You're like, 90s, Seattle, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and you can convey all this history in a single word or just a couple words. And that's really why music genres are so powerful and important, is you give a whole history, a whole chapter of music into a single word or series of words, and everyone kind of understands what you're talking about. There's a common shared knowledge of that. And genres are sort of this connecting history of particular music. And when you're talking about parent genres and subgenres and stuff like that, it gets even more important. So if you talk about metal here, you can talk about the very beginning with Black Sabbath, and the more common stuff that's known. But then you get into doom metal, you get into thrash metal, black metal, and then you start getting even subgenres underneath that. And all these things branch out. And genres are really sort of Darwin's law, where as soon as it becomes stale, it'll start transforming and changing again until it becomes interesting. And that's why electronic music, metal music, anything that happens, once a trend gets going, it'll go for a while and become popular until it starts getting stale, and then it's going to be something that's new and hot again. That's how it works. That's how music works, and that's how music genres develop and change. Let's go back to the questions here. Let me see. I think I covered this whole genre question. What kinds of specialized language do group members use in their conversation in their written genres? I think it's more that once you understand a genre, you're going to start using some of the lingo and names for certain things. And so that shared knowledge that you have with other users, that, if you're talking about breakcore, you might say, well, then you start talking about mashcore or metal breaks, or particular instances where you start going over the details of subgenres. And that's when you start getting into when you have a real basic knowledge of something to when you have a real expert knowledge of the history and the differences and the nuances of different genres that are going on. Who are the old timers in the group with expertise? Obviously, a lot of the people who were moderators of Rating Your Music are kind of known to be some of the professors and people that not only who do a lot of work, but they also are generally experts within sort of the music knowledge. Definitely Diction is one of our users who handles this genre Q section and is really known for handling a lot of the discussions within it in an administrator style, but also being very knowledgeable about what he's talking about and music history within that. Other people like Marilyn Roxy, who handle the press side here. I've worked with her for quite a long time with the project. And she handles the Twitter account and some of the playlist stuff, and she's wonderful. Knows a lot of stuff, especially on the indie alternative music side. I've got some of my admins on my server who are really kind of let me pull that back. Are kind of my experts in terms of both giving me a lot of feedback, running the server, and just they have their own acknowledgement. And the thing with music is it's so wide that a lot of the newer stuff I can't keep up with. There's just no possible way. And definitely they do a great job of keeping up with that. Both Ricketan, Outbreak, who help run it. Let me pull up my admin list. Yes, we have a private admin room. I have too many channels in here, unfortunately, so let that be a lesson to you. Secret mode chat. Aleph is wonderful in keeping track of sort of the newer genres coming in. He likes a more Dropbox approach for sort of putting a bunch of titles out for stuff and not really narrowing it down like we do. We miss him a lot, but he's a fantastic guy. Outbreak Georgia is fantastic. Knows the electronic stuff really well, knows the metal stuff, and is just is a fantastic administrator here, and really pays attention to the electronic genres in particular, like I like to, and knowing how they all interrelate. Brother Mantrill, who handles a lot of the hip hop genres extremely well. They're my prime group that help run the channel, and then I have people like Mick 4725. God, I hope I got that right, because when you let's see, Mick. Yep, I got it right. Yay! And then other people like Aquatic. So I've got my group of people that I generally work with on the server are my particular people that I can confer with directly. And then there's so many people on Rate Your Music that that I can always check in with, leave chat box with. And if I see great lists about particular genres, then I know who to look into. And you always have to learn from other people and pay attention, because every time you think you're ahead of the curve on stuff, you'll see more lists, and you're like, wow, this is just so out there and so awesome. And it's real easy to miss out on all the great lists that are on Rate Your Music, and whether they're on particular genres or concepts, or they're just best lists or so. There's just so much stuff on there that you can to check out and that you can easily miss. So it's the community aspect of that is just fantastic. I myself have been on Rate Your Music for nearly about 15 years. I've been running the project for about 12 of those years. And really, I think the key to becoming of how I operate is that while I'm a sort of a teacher, I'm also a student, to quote DJ Shadow. And that's that you always should be continually learning, trying to pick up what you've missed before, understanding things better, revisiting what you've put out before, and then saying, I put out this guide 5 years ago. Not only am I missing the last thing that have happened during the last 5 years, but also I'm understanding what I missed prior. So you're always sort of developing and improving what you've learned before. And understanding how different things connect. Because when you do what I've been doing for a while, you really see the bigger picture, and you can see it from a much higher perspective, and you can see how different genres affected other genres and developed out, and one thing builds into another, which builds into another, and how much you learn things as you go along, and then if you're writing them down, putting them in list form and stuff, then you could go back see all the stuff you've put down before, and you've communicated out to other people, and they've hopefully learned. But then hopefully you learn what you've missed out on that. You check other people's lists, and you're like, oh wow, he's okay. Yeah, this is a pretty cool album. I can't believe I missed this particular artist or this particular album. And you keep learning from other people. And you don't just sort of sit on the sidelines and say, okay, I've learned everything. I'm going to just teach now. You have to continually learn at the same time, and always be willing to see what you've missed out on. Okay, I think I've answered all the good questions on here. Like I said, was trying to put this together for sort of a quick video, answer all these questions, and really help someone out, and sort of just communicate what your Rate Your Music does, and why it's such a cool place, and why I encourage people to come. And like I said, one of the let me just get down to here. Let me just pick an album. And these are Japanese albums, but let me see. Let me just pick something. See? And as you rate stuff, you could always go back and take a look on stuff that you've rated. And so it really allows you to keep track of what you've liked and listened to in life. So you got a date, you've got 3.74, which is good rating out of here. You can take a look at friends rating. You can come on here and vote the genres on here, plus or minus, moving up stuff. So this is the thing with genres, where it becomes a discussion, where it's really a majority that decides what something is and what it isn't. And then you can have on secondary genres, those can be an influence, or just a couple tracks would have that. And then there's even descriptors where you talk about the description of this album, so sort of get an idea of what it is like. There's connections here where you can go on the Bandcamp or SoundCloud or YouTube. I have right here, I have my own review of the particular album. And then I can go and take a look at my friends are going to be in the green. And then it's going to say what they said. And it's always nice reading. I'm not a writer per se, so when people do much better reviews, I like to quote them and add them to the guide, so that they really not you're trying to tell people what's good, but then good reviews actually show people what you're trying to convey out of an album and why you should check it out. And then we have comments in here about the particular album. You can just throw a quick comment in there that's not a full review, and you can sort of talk with other people in there. Again, you are adding this album to different lists, so if you want to go through the lists here, whether it's genre based or so many of these are my top albums, even though everyone will always have their own top albums, and then it gets a little redundant. And then you have ratings for the different tracks. So if there's particular tracks that are bolded and high, these are going to be the best tracks to check out. So if you wanted to listen to just one or two of these tracks, like the best ones, you can know if you really want to listen to the whole album. And that's, this is what makes Rate Your Music so darn cool. And then you will have even some suggestions in here on similar albums that you might want to check out. So if you like this album, what else is going to be similar? And see, this has 11 pages of different reviews. And then it keeps sort of the best. You can basically give positive feedback for reviews you like, and then they'll actually show up more towards the top. And so your Rate Your Music has so many extra features here that are awesome. And like I said, you can keep track of your own collection. You can do your own reviews. And then, like I said, you can go into track ratings and vote up tracks you like. And you can even go in genre sections in here. And if you want to click on a particular track, you can say, well, hey, this is a Tech House track. And this one is. Looks like it's voted down for Micro House. You could vote that up, and then it might actually show up on here. Anything that's going gray is not going to show up because it's been voted down or doesn't have enough votes. And so you can even vote on tracks on individual. You can vote genres on individual tracks. Very cool. Anyway, this is Rate Your Music. This is why I like it so much and why it has so many more features than Discogs has. I like to be aware of both because there's different audiences for each. Each have their own particular features that are awesome. And using community databases like this is really a group experience where you are continually learning from other people and putting things together and really enjoying music in a community fashion. This is the Scientist, aka the Free Wave, and just a short video for this. Hope I answered some questions on why your music is so darn cool and why you should use it. All right. Thanks. Bye.